Good afternoon, everybody. Seth and Sean Sports Radio here. Hi, Seth. How you doing, buddy? Can't hear you at all.
Isn't that the way you prefer me?
Yeah, well, I'm excited for today's show. I'm excited for today in general. We have our fantasy league tonight. So we will go over fantasy leagues in general next week. We're not going to touch upon those this week because we have a full NFL preview. And we also really, before we start that, should touch upon really the retirement of two legends in women's sports that we've glossed over the last 2 weeks. And that's because we've had all these previews, right? So last week we've said goodbye to, and goodbye being relative to the sport. Let's understand that. We said goodbye to Sue Bird of the Seattle Storm.
And that was last night.
Right. Well, I said over the last week. So yeah. Sue Storm and Serena Williams, who Seth has proclaimed as the greatest women's tennis player of all time. Margaret Court would not agree with you at all.
Nobody cares when Margaret. The argument really isn't with Margaret Court. The argument is with Steffi Graf.
Well, no, I'm just saying Margaret Court does not.
Yeah, Margaret Court's not happy because she's won 24. She's won 24 versus 23 in a shorter period of time. The question is, 10 of these are, I don't want to say disputed, but under more, these circumstances were simpler.
Hold on a second. But simpler is relative, right? So I think she has a valid point. Surprisingly, look, Margaret Court has a lot of political views I do not appreciate whatsoever and has basically been ostracized from the WTA for same-sex views on same-sex marriage, views on abortion, lots of views. So this is not, hey, I'm all in Margaret Court's view. But I do understand why, especially in this case, why it is so hard to compare eras. Because while Serena did do it against better competition, no question, she did it on an easier path. Travel is much easier today than it was back then. You had nutrition is much better today than you had then. Physical training is much better today than it was back then. Even the surfaces of the courts and the rackets are much better than they were back then. Now, you can play the apples to apples that everybody else was in the same boat, but that's the point, right? It's an era-by-era comparison. And as I said a couple of weeks ago, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I believe, said it perfectly. There could be 4 or 5 GOATs, and that's okay. It's not you need to have one. And I think we kind of get to the point of we're so consumed as a society with the greatest of all time that it goes against the knowledge base of era versus era, where you can have a great player in one year and a great player in another.
Right. Well, but then why do we continue to have the basketball discussion, LeBron versus Michael?
We continue to have it because people are stupid. I mean, you and I don't have it. We stopped having it a bunch of years ago. You said it was
I did.
I said it was LeBron. Okay, and to tell you the truth, I've come around with the concept. If you asked me 11 years ago when we started this show, I had much different views on a lot of things that I have today. I think we both did.
Yeah.
Look, so to say that, why do we continue having these talks? Well, I'll say immaturity in some cases. I'll say ratings in others. Look, Stephen A. Smith is going to bring up greatest of all time every single time, right? Because it brings in ratings. While we do want to have listeners and viewers, and look, I did a post on LinkedIn today, so I'm sure that there'll be a couple of more viewers today than normal, or at least on the podcast. We're not in this for ratings. I mean, you and I are not looking at the Nielsen ratings and going, yes.
There are a couple of people related to BSP who kind of wish we were a little bit more, we cared a little bit more about that.
And that's okay. But the fact is, we don't bring greatest of all time. I think this is where I actually fall into the Nabate Isles school. And yes, I know that is a strange thing for somebody to say. I agree with a Mount Rushmore rather than a greatest of all time. I agree with let's give it 4 across or 5 across or whatever number you want and say those are the greatest of all time. Because then there is no argument, right? You can put across eras. You can do the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now, we just talked about Serena a little bit. I did watch a lot more tennis this week than I probably ever have, especially women's tennis, because I wanted to see Serena's last game. I wanted to see – you always want to see that last hurrah, right? And you got to give it up for her opponent. I love the post-game speech. That was amazing. When, hey, you're down 5-1 and Serena has me just where she wants me, right? Because she was that good. And credit to her. She did not – I don't think she handled it well during the match, but she certainly handled it well after the match.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's relative. You know, she's also, as great as she was, she's never been a particularly gracious loser. She was on this one, but we saw this with Osaka. We've seen this over the years. But I think also it took time for people to like her because she was different from everybody.
Yeah, she's Kobe, right? She's the equivalent of Kobe, where nobody liked Kobe the first.
I didn't like Kobe at the end either, though.
Right, but I'm saying the majority of people looked at Kobe's confidence as arrogance, not confidence. And when you have the Williams sisters, I think that's what they showed the first couple of years. I think that's what people looked at him as.
Yeah, but you also Osaka was 2019.
Sure.
It's not as if, and now look, maybe she didn't get the leeway she should have on that. McEnroe is beloved, and McEnroe was thought as an unmitigated ass for half of the time that he played.
He's still an unmitigated ass. Yeah, he's still an unmitigated ass.
Yeah. But, when it comes down to, yes, was Margaret Court the best player of her era? Billie Jean King didn't play in a lot of these tournaments that she played again. So, but yeah, I'll cede that. I'm not going to claim to be the world's greatest expert on 1960s women's tennis. I leave that to the Bud Collinses of the world. But of our era, from anything that we remember, there are 3 players in the women's game that are above and beyond everybody. Martina Navratilova, Steffi Graf, Serena Williams.
Yep.
All had very different games. All played, Martina played against mostly Chris Evert, who is an all-time great.
Yep.
Serena played against a variety of people. I don't know if there was anyone quite at Everett's level, but you had Kornikova, Jesus. You had Martina Hingis. You had her sister, who was, who's kind of gone by the wayside, for lack of a better term, through this. But she's an all-time great who won, I think, 10 Grand Slams and was the number 1 player in the world. Steffi kind of hit an in-between.
Well, she had Monica Seles for a while, right? She had Monica Seles. She had Martina
Monica Seles was kind of at the end of her. She had a 4-year run, which was utterly ridiculous.
Right. That's when she won the Golden Slam. She
won
in
'88. That was at the end of Martina, and kind of a little bit with Gabby Sabatini and Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, but before Seles.
Yeah.
And the one thing we'll never really know, because Seles was never the same player after she got stabbed in 93, 94, whenever it was. But she won. You kind of put all 3 of them together. Martina had the single greatest year possibly of any of them, even knowing Steffi won the Golden Slam. I think Martina went 82-2 one year and won 3 of the 4. Serena came very close 5 years ago to winning the Grand Slam, lost in the semifinals, I think, to Roberta Vinci at the U.S. Open, which led to the least interested women's U.S. final ever between her and Flavio Pannetta. But you look at this, and you have 3 players that are far and above beyond everybody else. You can't say that on the men's side. It's too confusing. But for our lifetime, and probably anyone that we know or we deal with in the sports world, these are the 3 names that are out there for best of all time.
And I got to tell you, I feel bad for Venus. First of all, I feel bad for their mother, who I think fell asleep during the match and was consistently known. And her mother's like 80 years old. Like, it's not really fair to show I didn't think, I think it was on ESPN. I don't think ESPN did the family any service by consistently showing the mother and showing Venus. And Venus looked so disinterested being there. And I think it's hard. I think it's hard for her, right? Venus never got the adulation that Serena has. She's also not the player,
Right.
granted, but you kind of look at it like the Eli and Peyton situation, right? Where it's like, well, Eli's a pretty good quarterback, but you're being compared to an all-time great, except it's flipped, where it's Serena came after Venus. I liked when at the post match when Serena thanked Venus and said there is no Serena without Venus. I thought that was very well done because it's true, 100%. But it's really, really hard to look at that and I have to think it is to watch your sister be so much more beloved than you ever were. And that's I find that I think that would be difficult. As somebody that has two brothers, and if my younger brother was on that stage after me and I was not as successful, I think I'd find it difficult to do. And the disinterest on her face was apparent, at least to me it was.
Yeah, well, I don't think you can make the comparison to the Mannings because Eli Manning is nowhere near this discussion. Venus is an all-time great. Eli's not. As a diehard Giants fan, Eli's not. We've had this discussion ad nauseum about but the thing that Eli was for some reason, which I'll never really understand, was beloved in New York. I mean, look, he was beloved because he brought us the 2 Super Bowls.
So Serena won 11 Grand Slams. Venus won 5.
No, not even close. Serena won 23 Grand Slams.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
I know. Venus may have won 10 or 11.
Oh, no. Number of Grand Slam finals where Serena faced Venus, 7 out of 9. So, yeah, I get it. I really do. I'm just at the point where, I get it. I just think if you are if you are the older sibling and you're watching your younger sibling get that much adulation after you are an all-time great, because Venus didn't get this send-off.
No.
Venus didn't get this adulation. Venus isn't even retiring.
No.
And I wonder if that's part of it, too. I wonder if that's part of it, where Venus wants some, hey, now granted, she's older. She's 42. But maybe it's, hey, I want my own year. I want my own send-off. I don't know. It must be – I would find it very difficult. Okay, we spent 15 minutes on this. Let's move over to Sue Bird for another 5 or 10.
We're going to do an NFL preview in 30 minutes?
Well, you know what? We'll come back to Sue next week. So we'll talk Sue next week. All right, so let's move on to our NFL preview. So we are not going to be talking fantasy. Like that is because if we talk fantasy, we'll be on the show for 2 more hours. And we'll get into our draft at 9 o'clock, still on the show. And Seth still has to go home. So let's talk. First of all, I have purchased my first Jet jersey in 10 years. So
Joe Flacco? Hold on.
No. not Can you guess who I have as a Jets jersey?
Sauce?
Yes, well done. Ahmed Gardner. So I would have gotten C.J. Mosley because C.J. Mosley is actually one of our favorite players.
Right, but he's going to be gone next year. So
he's going to be gone. So get the rookie with the 4-year deal because then at least you have a 4-year contract. Okay, so let's talk AFC East. Obviously, to me, Buffalo is the key, right? They are going to win this division. Now, is this the year Miami takes the step? Is this the year that Miami goes above New England? And
yeah,
I think it is, much to my happiness, because anything that New England doesn't do well, I am an incredibly happy camper. But and the Jets are going to be in last place because again.
Yeah, I didn't realize how bad your schedule is.
Our schedule is horrendous. We
You
play
play the AFC Central.
Yep.
You play the NFC Central.
Yep.
Which the NFC Central is not terrible. And then you have
Okay.
a random game against the Seahawks.
Yep.
Which is just weird.
In Seattle, right?
Yeah, in Seattle. You also play the Broncos.
Okay? Yeah.
I mean,
well,
but the AFC. The AFC. Let's be honest here. For years, the NFC was the stronger conference. If you told me 8 of the 10 best teams in the league are in the AFC, I wouldn't really argue.
No, you mean the AFC North. There is no Central anymore.
AFC North, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm looking at this. The Bills are the class of the division. The 17 games, let's say they go 13-4, maybe 14-3, right? Miami, I think they'll win 10 games. Like, I like their team. Look, at the end of the day, they're each playing 2 games against the Jets. So the way I look at this.
So where do you have the Jets? At 5-12?
Yeah, at best. At best.
Does Saleh lose his job?
No.
He gets a third year.
Third year. Yep. He gets one more year.
With as good as this quarterback's draft looks like it's going to be next year, with Van Dyke and Lewis and Stroud and Young, are you giving?
You
can't give up on Zach. You can't give up on Zach Wilson after 2 years, considering how he's before.
No, but you can't get a bounty. No, I don't think you can give up on him, but you can get a bounty for that pick. And I think that's what Joe Douglas will look to do. I don't think they'll keep that pick unless it's the overall first pick in the draft. If it's the overall first pick in the draft, they're taking Anderson.
They'll take most likely Will Anderson, the linebacker from Alabama.
Exactly. Because they still don't have a pass rush. No matter what happens, they still do not have a rush. Okay, so Jets. So how many of these teams make the playoffs to you? I only got the Bills. I don't think either.
Do you think Miami misses the playoffs at 10-7?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah, I got them. I have one.
I have one. Okay. AFC North. Look, you normally look, I got it right last year when I said the Bengals were my pick for the playoffs, right? When I predicted that last year.
That you did. I don't think you quite had them going.
No.
I had them a minute to go, but yeah.
Correct. But I had them as the surprise playoff team last year. That was my surprise playoff team. I don't think I've ever picked the Bengals to be the class of the division, though. And I don't see any other way that they are right now. Like, they have to be the favorite here.
Favorite, but not significantly. I think the Ravens are
really?
Right there. Yeah,
I don't think the Ravens are right there.
I think you have a pissed off Lamar Jackson. You have a healthier defense. Dobbins comes back. Now you still have the best tight end in football in Andrews. You're kind of in the vicinity here. I think those. I don't think anyone's going to question those are the 2 top teams in the division.
Oh, I do.
You have Pittsburgh. You have Pittsburgh or Cleveland above Baltimore.
I have Pittsburgh above Baltimore. Yep.
With possibly with good defense, terrible offensive line.
No, better than last year offensive line.
Well, they had the worst offensive line in football last
year. Correct. And they got some guys back on the offensive line. I think they make the playoffs. I think the Bengals and the Steelers both make the playoffs this year. I do not think the Ravens make the playoffs.
I have the Bengals and the Ravens.
Okay. And we both have the Browns last, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have any confidence in the Steelers. Do you have the Browns over the Steelers?
I have them both in that 7 and 10, 8 and 9 range.
Okay. All right, moving on. Look, and we're done with 2 divisions, and we're going 3 minutes
because we're going fast.
We're going fast. I mean, there'll be other, like, this division is just a cluster of epic proportions, right? Every year we wonder about this division. This year, I think it's even more so. I think just every team is bad. Is Derrick Henry, just because it's Derrick Henry, he's going to win the division for the Titans? Is that may be the only way that there's a clear-cut guy.
I think there's one decent team.
You think that's Indy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Indy. If Indy doesn't self-destruct, they're a playoff team nobody wants to play last year. And look, the Carson Wentz self-destructed. But it's funny, his stats were pretty good. It was just the last 2 games were terrible. I think they win the division relatively handily. I think Tennessee takes a step back. I think Jacksonville and Houston take slight steps up. But I think it's Indy's division to lose.
So I think Indy's actually going to be the 2nd seed in the East. I think they're in the AFC. Yeah, sorry, in the AFC. I think they'll be the 2nd seed because that division is awful. That division, and I think Matt Ryan, awful. And Matt Ryan is going to right that ship. I have complete confidence in Matt Ryan this year. I don't know why.
Just because you're a Georgia guy at heart?
No, I think it's more so. I saw what Carson Wentz did in Indy last year, and say, okay, Matt Ryan's a better quarterback. So if that's what Carson Wentz can do with that team, what could Matt Ryan do? And with a better Michael Pittman, with a better Alec Pierce,
because Alec Pierce is not better. He's a rookie.
Right. Sorry. Mo Alley Cox for a full year. The defense actually playing well, although Leonard may or may not play game 1. Shaquille Leonard, by the way, if you're drafting him, because his name is
no longer Darius.
He's no longer Darius. By the way, my name is no longer Sean. It's now Fernando. So if you'd like, I should just update the top of the screen. But anyway.
Fernando Palmer?
Hey, that was my Spanish name. They do in Spanish in 7th grade. There is
perhaps you would do better on Match if we or
well, there is no Spanish equivalent of Sean. So my teacher was like, "You can pick your name." I was like, "Oh, Fernando. I'll be Fernando."
Where did you get Fernando from?
Who was the most famous Spanish or Hispanic player in the major leagues in 1987?
Fernando
Valenzuela. So I became Fernando. It is not all that hard to figure this one out. But I got to tell you, I came home and my mom asked me, "So how is Spanish?" And I was like, "Well, my name is now Fernando." And she's like, "Well, okay." Okay, AFC West. Best division in the AFC.
Best division in football.
Probably best division in football.
I don't even think it's close.
You don't think it's close? Okay, so how many of these teams make the playoffs?
3.
So you got, hold on. So 7 teams make the playoffs. So you have the Bills, you have Bengals. Did you have Baltimore?
The Ravens, the Bengals, the Colts, the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos Raiders to me is a flip them. Like is just a flip for the last place. Maybe it'll go down to like it did last year to the overtime game.
Yeah. Or maybe they both make it.
And have 4 teams make the playoffs?
No. I meant
the Chiefs.
Sorry. I think I want to know what the Raiders' schedule is. Did they play the Chargers in the last game? Hold on. Schedule. Because hold on. Week 1. No, I want week 18. Week 18. Here we go. Okay, so week 18, the Raiders play the Chiefs. So I don't think that – so that means that the Broncos play the Chargers. So I think the Broncos playing the Chargers, I think the Broncos and Raiders will be playing for a playoff spot that game.
Yeah. You agree with 3 teams from the division?
I do, but I think it'll be the Raiders. As you said, it'll be one of the 2. I think it'll be the Raiders over the Chargers. Raiders over the Broncos. So I have 1 being the Chiefs, 2 being the Colts, 3 being the Bills.
Whoa. You have the Chiefs as the number 1 team overall?
I do.
You think Mahomes is coming out with a vengeance? He's a little pissed off by Tyreek's comments?
Actually, I think I think there's another guy that has to have a talk with you, in that you just said Mario Andrews is the best tight end in football. I think Mark Andrews. I think Travis Kelce needs to have a word, because I think that guy is going to get like 200 balls this year. I think this team will be better. I really do. I think the addition. Look, the loss of Tyreek Hill is a big loss. Don't get me wrong. It takes away one of the things that they use, one of the main objectives that they use in their offense. But I think the offense will change, and you'll have Scantling be able to run those routes, maybe not to the extent that Hill does. But now you spread the ball out a little bit with Juju Schuster. I think Schuster catches 80 balls this year.
Here's the thing, and I keep going back to this with Kansas City. I have no faith in their running game. Nobody does. Correct. Their number one or number two receiver is now gone, and they're being replaced with someone who never developed in Green Bay, because he never became the number two that they were hoping for.
Correct.
Juju, I like Juju, but unless Sky Moore becomes something,
yep.
Juju is not a difference maker. Juju is a nice player, but he is not none of these people are replacements for Tyreek Hill.
Is there a replacement for Tyreek Hill in the National Football League? No.
But there are guys that actually, probably a guy like Marquise Brown would have been a replacement for Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
Although I'm not a huge Marquise Brown fan, but kind of that ilk.
Yeah, just a small guy that just runs.
Small guy with just great speed.
Yeah. So, all right. So, I look, I'm picking it here. I got the Chiefs, the Colts, the Bills, 3. I just think the Colts decimate that division. Like, it's just they're not a better team than the Bills, but they have a worse division, which means they can feast on wins.
I understand.
Bills, Bengals, Chargers, Steelers, Raiders.
Okay. I'll go Bills. I agree with you on the Colts. Chargers, Ravens, Bengals, Chiefs, Raiders.
Okay, so in my scenario, I got the Colts playing the Raiders, and I'll take the Colts over the Raiders. I have the Bills. I got the Bills versus the Chargers.
Oh.
Which is an amazing Week 2 matchup, by the way.
Yes, it is.
But that will be in Buffalo. So I will take Buffalo over the Chargers, which I don't feel altogether comfortable with, but I'm doing it anyway. And I'll take the Bengals. What's that?
Sorry, continue.
And I'll take the Bengals over the Steelers in what might be back-to-back games, because I'm not sure Week 18 Steelers. No, Ravens play the Bengals. That would have been awesome. Back-to-back games with the last game and then the playoff game. So then you have the division. So I'm going to have the Bengals over the Chiefs. I think the Bengals will go to Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs.
Again?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'm going to have the Bills over the Colts. And then I'm going to have the Bills over Cincinnati. So the Buffalo makes the Super Bowl. Okay. From the 3 seed, by the way.
All right. So you want to go through, did you write down mine, or I'm not writing down mine. So did you write down mine or no?
No. Well, I can do it right now. So who's your 1 seed?
Okay. 1 is Buffalo, 2 is Indy, 3 of the Chargers, 4.
Hold on. Buffalo, Indy, Chargers. Yep.
Ravens.
Yep.
Bengals, Chiefs, Raiders. So get.
Okay. So you have Indy versus the Raiders in round 1.
I have Indy.
Okay. And then you have the Chargers versus the Chiefs.
Oh, kill me. Probably should have switched the Bengals in the Chiefs. I will take the Chiefs.
Chiefs over Chargers. And then you have the Ravens playing the Bengals.
I'll take the Bengals.
Which is a repeat of week 18. So then you have the Bengals. Okay. So the Bengals Steelers over Bengals. Hold on a second. Let me do this correctly. Colts versus Chargers. So Indy versus the Raiders. So then you got the 2 seed faces. Yeah, so Buffalo plays.
Can I change my Chiefs and Bengals pick?
Nope. Buffalo plays the Bengals in round 2.
I'll take Buffalo.
And Indy plays the Chiefs.
I'll take Kansas City.
So you got Kansas City versus Buffalo again. In Buffalo.
And this time they said it right. I'll take Buffalo.
So we both have Buffalo going to the AFC. Okay. Moving over to the NFC. This is such. I'm picking the Eagles to win the division. I don't know why I'm picking the Eagles to win the division, but I'm picking
there's nobody I am too because there's nobody else.
Yeah, but what record are they going to win it with? That's the better question.
10-7.
You think they'll get 10 wins?
No, let's take a quick look at their schedule. You're playing the Giants twice. You're playing the Redskins, the Commanders twice. You're playing the Lions. You're playing the Vikings. You're playing the Jaguars. You're playing the Steelers. You're playing the Texans. Yeah, I think they can get to 10 wins. Right. This is the easiest schedule in the NFL, or pretty close to it, looks like. Look at this. They're playing they're playing the AFC South and the NFC North.
Oh, well, yeah.
That'll get you to 10.
Probably. You're probably right. So game 1, well, let's do it. So they play the Lions game 1. That's a win. They play the Vikings game 2 in Philly on Monday night. Probably a win. The Commanders week 3. I think that's a loss.
Fair.
So let's say 2-1. The Jaguars at home is a win, 3-1. The Cardinals away is a loss, 3-2.
Agreed.
The Cowboys at home, a win, 4-2. The Steelers at home, I'll say that's a win.
Yep, 5-2.
5-2. The Texans away, 6-2. The Commanders at home, 7-2. The Colts away, 7-3. The Packers at home, 7-4. I'm picking the Packers over them.
I agree.
The Titans at home, let's give them a win, 8-4. The Giants away, 9-4. The Bears away, 10-4. The Cowboys away, 10-5.
The Saints at home, 10-6.
Saints at home, 10-6. And the Giants, it's 11.
Yeah, you're looking 10 or 11 wins. Not a bad schedule.
Yeah. All right. So I got the Eagles first, the Cowboys second. They do not make the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
The Commanders third, and the Giants fourth. And the Giants are hunting for a quarterback.
Unless Daniel Jones plays like he did in 5 or 6 games over the last 4 years, they walk away from it. They go for there's going to be at least 4 to 5 quarterbacks out there in the first round. And, that's where you go.
Look, if you trade us Leonard Williams, we'll give you our first-round pick.
We'll take it.
All right. AFC North, another just awful division. But I don't think the Lions are actually going to be in last place. I think that will be Chicago.
Yep.
Chicago is that bad. And Green Bay, it's Green Bay and Minnesota. And I think Green Bay's defense wins the division. I don't think it's Aaron Rodgers because I don't know who the heck he's throwing it to. But look, one of the most fun offenses I see this year is Minnesota. Like I watch Minnesota just to watch their offense go. I think if they are healthy, that Justin Jefferson.
But the question with them is Dalvin Cook healthy?
Well, could Justin Jefferson win an MVP this year? It's possible.
Possible. I mean, look, the guy who made Cooper Kupp, not made Cooper Kupp, but the offensive coordinator for the Rams, Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
Now the head coach in Minnesota. He has stated that what he wants to do is he wants to take Jefferson and put him in that cup range, except with better speed. And Jefferson
doesn't this validate your pick? Like,
I feel my pick was perfectly validated.
No, I'm just saying this just more validates your pick.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, in one of my leagues, I took Justin Jefferson as the number 1 overall pick. There were keepers. There were a lot of keepers that kind of played into that, but I took him over Dalvin and over McCaffrey and over a couple other guys. So yeah, I think Minnesota does make the playoffs. I think Green Bay wins the division.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think Minnesota is that team in the playoffs that you don't want to play. Like, and if they get the home field advantage, I think they can go a round or two. Like, I think they win their division. I think they win their first weekend if they're at home.
Okay. Yeah, because let's be honest, the 6 and 7 seeds in the NFC are not the strength that they are in the AFC.
No, correct.
Whoever you have is the 6-7.
Correct. Look, I think the Lions get 5 wins, maybe 6. I mean, they play the Bears twice, so that just gives them probably 2 wins right there. And here's a better question: Is Chicago looking for a quarterback next year?
No.
You talked about Zach Wilson, right? Well, you talked about Zach Wilson, right?
Yeah,
So,
I talked about Zach Wilson, but Zach Wilson has an offensive line. Zach Wilson has receivers.
Well, he didn't until this year.
Well, this is proving who does Justin Fields have? He
Darryl
has Darnell
Mooney.
Mooney,
Yeah,
who
and
seems
Dave
like
Montgomery.
a nice player, but he's not a legit. He has not shown to be a number 1 wideout under any circumstance.
Correct.
You have the worst offensive line in football, which has not gotten better.
No.
You have a new coach who's instituting a new offense in Matt Furious, the defensive coordinator from the Colts.
Yeah, but that means, you still got Ryan Pace there, right? So that means he still has.
Got him. You just brought him in.
Oh, right. So what I'm saying is having Ryan Pace means that's a new guy. Does he want his quarterback? Does Matt?
Yeah, I don't think anyone takes the. Not anyone takes the job. Everyone's going to take the job. Fields did a decent job when he started last year.
Yeah.
He had a couple. I think he only started 5 games, and he played decently in 2 or 3 of them with no talent surrounding him. They have less offensive talent. Congratulations, as a Jets fan, you should be ecstatic. There's a team that surpasses you for the least amount of talent offensively in the NFL.
Not in NFL history, though. We had that 2 years ago. Definitely not in NFL history.
That was brutal.
So I have Green Bay winning the division, the Vikings making the playoffs, Detroit winning 5, 6, 7 games, somewhere in there, and then the Bears winning 3 to 4. And I think the Bears and the Jets are neck and neck for worst record in football, along with Jacksonville. Okay. So moving on.
Jacksonville?
Yeah.
You like Jacksonville? I thought you like Houston above Jacksonville.
When Christian Kirk is your number 1 receiver, I'm still wondering what you have. I mean, their offensive line is
4 years. You don't like a 4-year, $72 million deal for Christian Kirk?
No. Nothing about that screams, yes, I want this. Okay. Nothing. It reminds me of what the Jets would do. Like, let's sign Le'Veon Bell again after he didn't play for a full year. It definitely rings true for a Knicks trade, right? Let's sign Eddie Curry, who had a heart condition, to a 6-year deal. It just screams New York. But anyway, Shaka Khan down there definitely knows what he's doing. So moving on to the NFC South. Again, the Falcons are going to be in last place. Other than that, well, I don't know. The Falcons are going to be in last place, and Carolina is going to be right there along with them. But how many wins do you think Baker throws up this year?
About 6.
Here's the next question. In 2023, is Baker Mayfield the quarterback of the Carolina Panthers?
No.
Is Baker Mayfield a starting quarterback in 2023?
Probably not.
So, of the famous draft of quarterbacks, the Lamar Jackson draft, right? The starting quarterbacks so the number 1 pick is not a starting quarterback. The number 3 is not a starting quarterback. The number 10 is not a starting quarterback. Not number 10 may not even be in the league next year.
Josh Rosen.
Yeah. So of the 5 quarterbacks that were in that draft, right, first round, the number 32 pick and the number 7 pick are the only starting quarterbacks in 2023.
They're 2 of the 5 best quarterbacks in football.
Yeah.
Depending on your feelings on Lamar Jackson.
And my golden goose is in Buffalo.
And your golden goose is in Buffalo. You got.
Yeah. Anyway.
And that's why you drink.
Yeah. Well, that's why I buy an Ahmed Saucer.
Ahmed Saucer.
Ahmed Gardner jersey. I've been calling him Ahmed Saucer. Okay, so the Bucs win this division, even though they went 0-3 in the preseason. No, you got the Saints.
I got the Saints.
Wow. Okay,
I don't think it's really that big.
Tell me why.
First of all, the Saints have beaten Tampa 5 games in a row.
Sure.
Their offense should be better.
Their offensive line ain't better.
Their offensive line is not great, but you hopefully have a motivated Kamara. You have Michael Thomas potentially healthy. Again, potentially. You bring in, oh Lord, you bring in Chris Olave. You bring in Jarvis Landry. Your defense is a top 10 defense. The transition in coaches I don't think will be that difficult.
No,
Dennis Allen's been there forever.
Right.
And Pete Carmichael just is staying. I think Tampa's in a little bit of flux. They're still going to be very good, and they're still going to be a definitive threat. But I think New Orleans ekes it out for the division.
So is Tampa a playoff team?
Oh yeah. Have you seen the NFC?
I have. I think the question is how many teams in the West make it?
2.
So, okay, I have Tampa winning this division. I have the Saints at 2. I agree with you. Look, I think the offense of the Saints is very similar to could be conceivably similar to the offense of the Vikings. I think they could be. I'm a big Jameis Winston fan. I think that he will throw for a lot of yards and a lot of interceptions. It's kind of his MO, right? Most interceptions, most touchdowns. But he's in a system where he can do that. And if Michael Thomas is healthy, and Seth, that's a big if. I mean, it's been, a year and a half to 2 years since he's been healthy, right? With that ankle injury.
Hey, remember, we lost the championship to Christian McCaffrey and Michael Thomas 3 years ago. And they were keepers for 3 years, and we said, man, we're screwed.
Yep.
They played like 2 games since.
Well, we actually had Michael Thomas last year. We just had him all year on the bench.
Yeah.
So waiting to see if we would keep him.
Waiting for Godot. Yep.
Yeah. So,
waiting to go. Didn't happen.
Waiting to go. So, I'm going to take the Bucs first, the Saints second, Carolina third, and Atlanta, again, cleaning up the mess in last place.
Yeah. I have Atlanta threatening for first pick overall also.
Okay. So so who are your last? So we'll get through this, and then we'll talk about first pick, and we'll talk about MVP and so on. NFC West. I really want to pick the Niners, except I have absolutely no confidence in Trey Lance. None. Here's my question to you, and I asked this of a Niner fan yesterday, and I'll tell you the answer once you give me yours. What's the over/under on Jimmy G's games played this year?
4.
I'll tell you what he said.
I bet he's going to say like 10.
That's exactly what he said. 10 games. Is that yours as well? You think he'll be in 10 games?
No. I think it's 4 or 5. I think they are going to they just traded 3 first-round picks for this guy. I think they are going to give him a crap load of leeway on this. I do.
Okay.
The only reason I'm saying 4 games is I think he's going to get injured at some point for a couple games. That's all. I think he plays the whole season. I saw what Peter King has said. I've seen what other people have said.
Well,
I don't.
Okay, so hold on a second. So they played the Seahawks. They played the Bears week 1. That's probably a win, right?
Yeah.
Bears week 1. Seahawks at home. Let's give them a win week 2. Week 3, they go to Denver. I think that's a loss. Okay, 3-1. 2-1. Then they're home against the Rams on Sunday night.
I'll take that as a win. I think they'll split with the Rams.
Okay, so it's 3-1. And then they face the Panthers away. Let's go 4-1. Falcons is 5-1. And then they play the Chiefs at home. That may be 6-1. So it could be 6. So, okay, you want me to give that a loss? So it's 5-2. And then you said a split with the Rams. So they're 5-3 on October 30th. So that keeps Trey Lance in the game.
Yes.
If they're 3-5, are they in the game? Is Trey Lance in the game?
I don't think they're benching Trey Lance.
Okay.
I don't. You have this guy for 3 more years. Your team is relatively young.
Yep.
I don't have them making the playoffs.
You don't have the Niners making the playoffs at all?
No.
Okay.
They're first team out. But I think this is their year to build up. Okay. And I think in 23, they are a serious, serious threat.
See, and I think they're a serious threat this year.
You think they're a serious threat with Lance?
Yeah, I think they make the playoffs because I think the rest.
That they make the playoffs is not a big.
No, I don't think they're. I think they lose in the first round of the playoffs. So I mean,
did anyone think they were that good last year? No, and they were within a quarter of going to the Super Bowl.
Right, because the rest of the team is just that much better than everybody else. Their defense, I think their defense is the best defense in football.
Okay.
And I think they manage the clock well.
Actually, I apologize. I forgot Hopkins is out for a while. I will take them as the last seeded.
The funny thing is, the Niners fan that I talked to last night, you know who you compared Jimmy G to?
Phil Simms?
Eli Manning. He said he makes one bad toss every single game where you go, WTF. And you and I knew that every game, right?
How many times were we at a bar waiting for the Manning pass?
Right. And I remember the one that was against New England in the corner. We're like, really? There's the pass.
Here it comes.
Yeah, there it is. All right. So I got the Rams winning the division, the Niners in second, the Cardinals in third, and the Seahawks in fourth.
Yeah, I'm going to flip the Niners and the Cardinals, and I'm going to put the Niners in as the 2.
I had the Niners as the 2.
Yeah, the Seahawks.
No, I had the Niners as the 2. I had the Rams.
I'm flipping mine from the Niners because originally I said that they were not going to make the playoffs. Now I actually am flipping them over Arizona. So
what's the win total for the Geno Smith Seattle Seahawks?
5.
So they're in the running for the first pick too.
Yeah.
So all right. So now we got playoffs, right? So
playoffs? You're talking about playoffs?
Playoffs. All right. I got the I got the Bucks as the 1 seed, which I can't stand saying.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I don't that division again. They play Atlanta twice. If it's not them, it's New Orleans. Whoever comes out of that division, I think wins the NFC. And remember, they're playing against the Jets. Like that's the Jets division that they play. So, yeah, I'll go with them. No, I'm sorry. I think they play the NFC North. All right, so I'm going Bucks first. I got the Rams second, the Eagles third, the Packers fourth, the Vikings fifth, the Niners sixth, and the 7th team is the Saints. That's what I got.
Okay, so we have the same 7 teams.
Just in a completely different order for you.
Yeah.
So I got to write this down. Bucks, Niners, Eagles, Packers, Vikings. Oh, no, I had Rams. Niners, Saints. Okay, go ahead.
All right. I'll have Packers 1.
Yep.
I will have the Saints 2. The Rams 3. The Eagles 4. The Bucks 5. The 49ers 6. And the Vikings 7.
All right, so the Bucks get the bye in my situation. The Rams beat the Saints in the first round for me.
That's a first round matchup.
What? Yeah, it's a great first round matchup.
Wait,
right?
Why would the Bucks? You have the Bucks winning the division. Why would the Bucks play the Rams?
No, I said the Rams play the Saints.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
The Rams play the Saints in the first round. The Eagles play the Niners, and I'll take the Niners winning a round because I think the Eagles are just that bad. But here's your matchup in the first round. The Pack play the Vikings. And I'm going to take the Vikings to win this game in the first round.
Okay.
So the Vikings are the 4-5. So now you go Bucks, Vikes. I'll take the Bucks. Rams, Niners. I'll take the Rams. The Bucks play the Rams again, and I'll take the Rams. Although the Rams for me are a 2 seed. So I have a 1 seed versus a 2 seed. I'm being very. Go ahead. I got the Bills versus the Rams. It's very original.
I was going to say, way to go out on a limb there, tough guy.
Yeah, not going out on the limb.
Okay.
You got the Saints and Vikes.
I'll take the Saints.
Okay. Rams and 49ers.
Rams.
Eagles and Bucks.
Bucks. It's not like anything I'm going to have is going to be anything special either.
Pack versus the Bucks.
Yeah. What are you going to do? You have to take the Bucks.
In Green Bay.
In Green Bay.
Rodgers versus Brady.
Again.
Saints and Rams.
I'll take the Rams. Yeah, I'm not going anything original either here.
Bucks and Rams.
Bucks.
So you got
for someone who's not overly excited about the Bucks, I have them going to the Super Bowl.
So you have the Bucks versus Bills, and I have the Bills versus the Rams. So, yeah, okay.
Well,
Who's your MVP?
5 years ago, I had the Texans going, and they went 2-14. So I mean,
who's your MVP?
Trying to come up with something original.
You can't. Mine's Josh Allen. If they're going to be the 1 seed, it's going to be Josh Allen.
Am I allowed to say Justin Jefferson?
You can.
I can, but I'm kidding. Because we know it's going to be a quarterback. So I'll go Justin Herbert. Here's the Chargers and the Chiefs winning the division. I forget.
Here's the thing. I don't know who you had. I wrote it over here. Hold on. You had the Chargers winning the division. What's interesting to me is how Buffalo is going to win without a running game. Like, I still don't understand why they didn't upgrade that running game from Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. Like, still trying to figure that one out. Maybe it's because they think Allen is their running game, which he may very well be.
They also now have James Cook.
Yeah. The Pirate, James Cook?
That's James Hook. That's Captain Hook.
Oh, that's Captain.
Or as my daughter likes to, as I call my daughter, Captain Morgan.
Captain Morgan. She's spicy.
She loves it.
She's a spicy rum. Okay. Who is the first coach fired? Is there a coach fired during the season?
There will be.
Is it Lovie Smith?
No. Lovie Smith will be there 2 years.
Okay. So who's the coach fired?
Mike McCarthy.
Really? And who? Well, they have a built-in guy in Kellen Moore right there.
No,
right?
they have the built-in guy in Dan Quinn.
Don't they? And they have Chris Richard on that staff too.
Yeah, Richard seems to. I liked Richard. I wanted the Giants to go for Richard. Richard seems to have been falling off the
radar. So they have Richard, Kellen Moore, and Dan Quinn all on that staff. That really is dead man walking.
Yeah. They got no chance.
Especially if they don't make the playoffs, which neither one of us have them making the playoffs. Okay. Who's the coach of the year?
Dennis Allen.
Okay. Hold on. Mine will be Frank Reich, because I think Indy puts up major numbers and wins that division. Okay, so who's going to have the first pick in the draft? Who's the worst team in the NFL?
I think it may be the Atlanta Falcons. I'm looking at their schedule quickly right now. Saints, Rams, Seahawks, Browns, Buccaneers, 49ers, Bengals, Panthers, Bears, Commanders, Ravens, Cardinals. Yeah, it's pretty not an easy schedule. I think Atlanta's kind of my surprise pick to be the number one overall. I wouldn't be surprised to see Chicago there. I wouldn't be shocked to see Houston there, especially if Davis Mills doesn't take a step forward. Sorry, man. I don't think you're going to have the number one overall.
No.
I don't think we are either.
It's unfortunate.
We need it more than you do.
Do you?
Well, we need the quarterback.
That's true.
And I guess there's an abundance of them.
That's also true. Look, I hope it's a quarterback draft, right? Because if it's a quarterback draft and the Jets have a high pick, they may still be able to get Anderson, even just trading up either where they are. I mean, if it's a quarterback draft. All right. So we have rookie of the year. I think it's Chris Olave. Like, I just don't see anybody else that's going to make that big of a difference for these guys. I don't see a quarterback that's going to make that big of a difference. I don't see another running back that's going to make that big of a difference. I think it's Chris Olave.
I think that's a pretty good pick. I'm not going to follow yours just because it just seems kind of silly too. I actually think it may be Breece Hall.
Oh, goody. I like that idea. It would be nice to have something to look forward to. All right. So my last question. How many wins do the Giants have? Because I already gave you what the Jets have. So the Jets and Giants. So the Giants are going to have 6 wins and the Jets are going to have 5.
Actually, I'll put them at the same record. And because they're the Jets and the Giants are going to play a slightly more difficult schedule. So the Giants get to pick above them.
Yeah, of course they will, because that's
how we roll.
All right. So next week we'll go through Sue Bird, her accomplishments. We'll recap our fantasy league, especially what's happening at 9:00 tonight. And then we will go through week 1 of the NFL, because now we're back in football season. And Syracuse winning 1-0. Congratulations. We go play UConn. Let's go 2-0. Because UConn, you suck. All right. For Seth Kamens is over there. I'm Sean Palmer over here. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week.